Russia's invasion of Ukraine is a blatant violation of Ukraine's sovereignty and territorial integrity, as well as international law and norms. By launching a large-scale military aggression against its neighbor, Russia has breached the UN Charter, the Helsinki Final Act, the Budapest Memorandum, and several bilateral treaties and agreements with Ukraine. The UN Charter is the foundational document of the United Nations and the international legal order. It prohibits the use of force or the threat of force against the territorial integrity or political independence of any state. It also affirms the right of all states to self-determination and to choose their own political system. Russia's invasion of Ukraine violates these principles and undermines the UN's role in maintaining international peace and security. The Helsinki Final Act is a declaration signed by 35 countries in 1975, including the Soviet Union and its allies, that established the principles of cooperation and respect for human rights in Europe. It recognized the inviolability of frontiers, the territorial integrity of states, and the peaceful settlement of disputes. It also committed the signatories to refrain from any intervention or interference in the internal affairs of other states. Russia's invasion of Ukraine disregards these commitments and threatens the stability and security of Europe. The Budapest Memorandum is a diplomatic document signed by Russia, Ukraine, the United States, and the United Kingdom in 1994 that provided security assurances to Ukraine in exchange for its renunciation of nuclear weapons. It pledged to respect Ukraine's independence, sovereignty, and existing borders, and to refrain from using or threatening to use force against it. It also promised to consult with each other if Ukraine faced a threat to its security. Russia's invasion of Ukraine breaches these assurances and exposes its hypocrisy and perfidy. Several bilateral treaties and agreements between Russia and Ukraine also bind Russia to respect Ukraine's sovereignty and territorial integrity. These include the Treaty on Friendship, Cooperation, and Partnership signed in 1997, which affirmed the inviolability of the existing border between the two countries, the Black Sea Fleet Agreement signed in 1997 and extended in 2010, which regulated the presence and activities of Russian naval forces in Crimea, and the Kharkiv Accord signed in 2010, which settled some outstanding issues regarding gas supplies and debts. Russia's invasion of Ukraine violates these treaties and agreements and demonstrates its contempt for international law. In conclusion, Russia's invasion of Ukraine is an illegal act of aggression that defies international law and norms. It is an assault on Ukraine's sovereignty and territorial integrity, as well as on the values and principles that underpin the international order. It is a threat not only to Ukraine, but to all countries that value peace, democracy, and human rights. The Russian invasion of Ukraine has not only caused a humanitarian catastrophe and a territorial dispute, but also a serious threat to the global security and stability. The invasion has provoked strong reactions from NATO and other countries, who have condemned Russia's aggression and imposed sanctions on its economy. However, these measures have not deterred Russia from continuing its military campaign and have raised the risk of a wider conflict involving nuclear weapons. One of the main sources of tension is the status of Crimea, which Russia illegally annexed in 2014 and has fortified with troops and missiles. Ukraine considers Crimea as part of its sovereign territory and has vowed to reclaim it by any means necessary. NATO has also reaffirmed its support for Ukraine's territorial integrity and has increased its presence and exercises in the Black Sea region. Russia, on the other hand, has warned that any attempt to challenge its control over Crimea would be met with a harsh response, and has threatened to use nuclear weapons if NATO crosses its red lines. Another flashpoint is the eastern border of Ukraine, where Russia has amassed hundreds of thousands of troops and heavy weaponry. Russia claims that it is defending the rights of the Russian-speaking population in the Donbass region, who have declared independence from Ukraine with Moscow's backing. Ukraine accuses Russia of fueling a proxy war and violating its sovereignty and territorial integrity. NATO has also accused Russia of violating the 1994 Budapest Memorandum, which guaranteed Ukraine's security in exchange for giving up its nuclear arsenal. Russia has dismissed this accusation and has accused NATO of meddling in its internal affairs and expanding its influence towards its borders. The situation is further complicated by the involvement of other countries in the region, such as Belarus, Poland, Turkey, Romania, Moldova, Georgia, and Armenia. Belarus, which is a close ally of Russia and hosts a Russian military base, has supported Russia's invasion of Ukraine and has allowed Russian troops to use its territory as a staging ground. Poland, which is a member of NATO and shares a border with both Ukraine and Belarus, has expressed solidarity with Ukraine and has deployed troops and equipment to reinforce its eastern flank. Turkey, which is also a member of NATO and controls the strategic Bosphorus Strait, has condemned Russia's aggression and has offered military assistance to Ukraine. Romania, Moldova, Georgia, and Armenia have also expressed their support for Ukraine's sovereignty and territorial integrity. The escalation of tensions between Russia and NATO could lead to a wider conflict involving nuclear weapons, which would have devastating consequences for the world. According to some estimates, a nuclear war between Russia and NATO could kill millions of people, cause widespread radiation poisoning, trigger a nuclear winter that would disrupt global climate patterns, and destroy civilization as we know it. Therefore, it is imperative that both sides exercise restraint and diplomacy to avoid such a scenario, and seek a peaceful resolution to the crisis in Ukraine.